Virginia's law should be passed. That's going through no statute of limitations, and also total immunity for victims so that they can get free of this absolute hell, abuse of power, and tell their stories with immunity. Oh, all right, I'm going to start here.
Charges leveled against Sandra Mountbatten Windsor.
I've had police sources come forwards to me who are scared that their pensions will be removed. I see this happening a lot. The palace are scared. They have never experienced anything like this. We're seeing narratives about Andrew's mental health come out. Sarah Ferguson has fled the country. Do you think Sarah Ferguson should be called in for questioning regarding potential financial crimes?
Well, I mean, she's a material witness to actually the Epstein story, the sex trafficking. I mean, she was often staying at Epstein's homes, and I'm surprised the Senate haven't asked her to give evidence. I think there's certainly grounds for police to question her, and I understand Rob Shuter was running a piece yesterday saying that she was cooperating with the police. In fact, in effect, a plea bargain. And so we have this extraordinary situation where she may be giving evidence against her husband in order to save her own skin.
Wow.
Since Andrew's arrest, we've been told that the palace did not know that he was going to be arrested. This is simply not true, Andrew, because they would not just be able to drive onto royal land, but there was also a paparazzi on private land. Do you think we are being fed narratives left, right and centre still from the palace who are trying to protect what is going on?
Yes, I mean, I think that the palace are clearly trying to control the story, not very effectively. I think it's kind of running away with them. But yes, I mean, I was always slightly surprised about also, a dawn raid, cars at the back, stopping him escape. I mean, he was only being questioned and then he was released. And normally what happens in these circumstances is people are invited to go to the police station and have a chat. So it did seem a little dramatic, and then not to then press charges, to only hold him for a limited amount of time.
Yeah,
it all feels
a little
performative,
dramatic,
actually, rather than realistic.
You've said as well that the potential crimes when he was trade envoy, the firm would much rather he go down for that or be aligned with that, as opposed to sex trafficking and the allegations from Virginia Giuffre. We've seen other allegations come out with a woman claiming she was abused at Royal Lodge. We've also seen darker stories come out that remain unproven but are allegations regarding things like satanic ritual abuse. You had some early whistleblowers come to you, didn't you, claiming similar?
Yes, I mean, I think the reason the police are concentrating on the misconduct in public life is it's much easier to bring charges there. The evidence is easier. The penalties are lower than they are for the sex trafficking. And clearly there's hard evidence from the release of the Epstein files. So I think I can understand why they're going down that path. It doesn't mean that they won't eventually bring other charges to do with the sex trafficking, but they have to then get witnesses prepared to give testimony, and that may prove more difficult. As you say, there's another element to the story which is coming out with the releases. There's a sort of satanic element to it. And it's not an area I really explored. I did have people, as you say, come to me with stories which I rather dismissed as a bit far-fetched. And I need to now look at those stories again in the light of the new evidence.
Yeah, it's very chilling what is coming out. Do you think that we can put our trust in the law and the framework that that justice will be done if there were crimes that were committed?
Well, I mean, I take some faith in the fact that the police are now investigating Andrew. It's been very public. They've dodged this for years. We now have 7 police forces investigating at the National Crime Agency. I'm surprised that the HMRC haven't also jumped in here, because I think there's a strong case there. But I think the wheels are in motion. I mean, this is clearly a complex case. It can be difficult to build evidence. There must be certain of the case they can bring, otherwise it'll collapse and it'll just look like another attempt to go through the motions. But yeah, I do feel that there is a sea change here. There's huge public pressure to do something. I mean, we've seen all the polls come out showing the falling popularity of the royal family and the falling authority of the king. So I do think that they have to be seen to be doing something and probably to do something.
Yeah. Not just be
BBC
seen,
recently
actually do it.
commented that she believes Andrew is autistic, and that when his hands were on the lady or the girl that's face was redacted, she believes he was performing, I'm paraphrasing here, but something like Reiki, and he had healing hands. There seems to be a lot of apologists out and sympathisers for Andrew. What do you make of this?
Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of those people who were trying to discredit the photo, for example, going very quiet because, clearly we now have hard evidence, which we always had, that it's genuine. There are a lot of royal commentators who depend on their sources by perhaps pushing a certain line or supporting certain members of the royal family. So it doesn't surprise me. I think the thing that you and I do is that we have no sort of inside links in that way. We rely on just doing proper investigative research, and that gives us a bit more independence.
You're suing Simon and Schuster.
I just want to say about that girl in the photo, the little girl, where he is obviously not giving her Reiki. Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew, are you serious? I mean, not that I know him that well, but that seems far-fetched. If we want to talk far-fetched, go fetch. Where are her parents? Where are the logs? I'm not sure if I posted the video where I asked that before, but where is that little girl today? Surely she had to have seen her picture by now. Her parents had to have come forward. Were they complicit? Did they allow this? How did she get into the palace, and how did she get home? How many times had she been there? And how many others? And how could they ever say they didn't know what was going on? Maybe they were terrified, too, of what was going on. But if they're mad at Beatrice and I can't remember the other one's names, Charlotte or whatever, for speaking about Andrew, their dad, and not saying anything or being at Epstein's Island, well, then they have to be mad at William and Catherine, Kate the Hate, for sure. I don't see how there's a monarchy after this. I really just don't.
In the US, because they claimed that your book was ultimately not good enough to be released, which is ludicrous. Looking back, do you feel that the palace potentially had interfered in the release of the book in the US with the publisher?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if they were going to try and suppress it, they could have suppressed it in Britain, which they didn't. I think this was an internal decision by Simon Schuster. I will find out perhaps if we go to settlement or to trial exactly what they were thinking of, whether they had outside pressure. It could have been from investors, for example, not to do anything critical of the royal family. I mean, I think we're up for sale. It could be to do with timing. They didn't feel they could publish quickly enough. It could be down to the fact they didn't like the book. It was a different style to what the Americans are used to. But I've been publishing 40 years, and I've never seen a case where the UK edition differs from the US edition. So I don't really buy that argument. And the whole point about the book is that it isn't sensationalist. It is trying to root everything in sources and in evidence. And they bought the book on a finished copy. So if they didn't like that, they should have made it clear at that point or not bought it. So there's something very strange going on there, and I hope we'll discover more when if we go to trial. I mean, they have now responded to the claim that we've made. They denied it, and so it does look like we will be going to trial.
We've seen Beatrice and Eugenie be on holiday. We've seen them recently. We've seen narratives come out that they are furious at their parents, but actually this is simply not true, because we saw, I believe it was Beatrice, work with Sarah Ferguson to control the narrative relating to Jeffrey Epstein being positioned as a paedophile in the UK media. Sorry, they called Geordie Gregg, an editor in the UK, to change the narrative on this. Do you think that Beatrice and Eugenie are guilty of potential crimes, or do you think they are collateral damage in the fallout from their parents' terrible decisions?
No, the daughters have been very involved in their parents' business activities and everything else, and the contacts were passed on to the daughters. They continued to use the contacts the parents built up. I mean, we had Eugenie in Doha with Sarah last week. Doesn't suggest they've fallen out. We have Beatrice at Davos. I mean, she's often still in the Middle East, and not there in her capacity as Mrs. Mosey or whatever she is, but always as Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice. So she's still capitalizing, monetizing her royal status in order to make money herself. So, in that respect, yes, she's continuing exactly like the parents. I think they're certainly, again, material witnesses. They were taken by the parents to Epstein's homes. They were probably the first people to see Epstein when he came out of prison.